All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down a game that for 3 quarters looked like it was going one way, and then boom, it completely flipped. This is the story of a wild fourth quarter comeback by the Houston Rockets against the Portland Trail Blazers.
So you see a headline like this, right? It gives you the basics. You know who won, and you even know who the heroes were. But what a headline can't tell you is the drama. The story of how this game was actually won. Because trust me, it was anything but straightforward.
Yeah, 106-99. It looks like a pretty solid 7-point win. But if you had turned this game off after the third quarter, you would have been absolutely convinced the Trail Blazers were going to win. The entire story is hiding in those final 12 minutes.
So let's just set the stage here. For the first 36 minutes of this game, it was an absolute slugfest. It was tight, it was back and forth, and neither team could really get any breathing room. And this right here tells you everything you need to know. Portland comes out swinging in the first. Houston fires right back in the second. Then Portland grabs control again in the third. So heading into that final quarter, the Rockets are down by 5 points, on the road, and you've got to believe all the momentum was with the Trail Blazers.
But then, the fourth quarter started, and I don't know what was said in the huddle, but it was like a totally different Rockets team came out onto that court. This is where everything, and I mean everything, changed. 29. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many points the Houston Rockets scored in those final critical 12 minutes. It was just an offensive masterclass. And what's really wild is when you compare it, the Rockets put up 29 while they held Portland to just 17 points. That's a 12-point swing in a single quarter. So it wasn't just an explosion on offense. They were locking things down on defense too. Now that is how you steal a road win. So who was behind all this? I mean, a performance like that doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It was led by 2 players who basically decided, nope, we are not losing this game. First and foremost, Alperen Sengun. My goodness, he was the top scorer for the whole game, dropping 28 points in just outplaying Portland's top guy, Jerami Grant. The Trail Blazers simply had no answer for him. But he wasn't doing it all alone, because his partner in crime, Amen Thompson, was right there with him, pouring in 26 points of his own. You add that up, that's 54 points between just 2 players. That is more than half their team's entire total. Just an incredible 1-2 punch that completely took over. Okay, so the stars showed up big time. But let's look a little deeper at the team numbers, because this comeback was built on some really solid execution. For the most part, anyway.
And this is the key right here, efficiency. The Rockets were shooting a ridiculous 54% from the field. Just think about that, making more than half of your shots. Compare that to Portland struggling at 40%. When you're that much more efficient, you put so much pressure on the other team, and Portland just couldn't keep pace.
So, they were shooting the lights out, their stars were incredible. It all sounds pretty perfect, doesn't it? Well, not quite. There was one pretty big and ugly statistic that almost cost them the entire game. 22. That is the number of times the Houston Rockets turned the ball over. 22. They just gave the ball away. That is a shockingly high number, and you almost never see a team win when they're that careless.
And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. They won this game in spite of being incredibly sloppy. It makes that fourth quarter performance and that amazing shooting percentage even more remarkable. They literally had to outshoot their own mistakes, and somehow they pulled it off.
So why are we talking so much about one game in March? Well, because in the long grind of an NBA season, every single one of these wins adds up and has real consequences for the playoffs. Let's just take a quick peek at the standings. That victory pushes the Rockets to 39-23, and it really solidifies their position as the number 2 team in their division. It gives them some breathing room. These are the gritty wins that can be the difference between home court advantage or not. They're like gold. And all of this leaves us with one massive question for the Rockets going forward. Is this ability to just flip a switch and dominate a fourth quarter a sign of a truly great team? Or is winning a game despite having 22 turnovers a huge red flag that points to a fatal inconsistency? That's the question they're going to have to answer for the rest of the season.